Brought to you by the good people at 24 Seconds Bar and Grill. Still waiting on a ruling from Washtenaw County Circuit Court Judge Carol Kuhnke, who is a Michigan alumnus, to rule on the temporary restraining order sought by the University of Michigan. Big Ten, as you know, suspended Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh yesterday for the final 3 games of the season, but he will be allowed to coach during the week and in postseason games. Michigan seeking a temporary restraining order where, if granted, Harbaugh would be allowed to coach today at Penn State, which begins at 12 noon from Happy Valley on our brother station, AM 950 WWJ. Michigan a 4-point favorite as it stands currently. Michigan State at Ohio State tonight. Good luck to the Spartans. They're 31.5-point underdogs in that one. College basketball, Michigan over Youngstown State, 92-62. The Illini dumping Oakland, 64-53. Cincinnati, 93. Detroit Mercy, 61. Pistons dropped their 7th in a row. They fall to the Sixers, 116-104. At the LCA today, Wings hosting Columbus right here on the ticket at 1 p.m. Ville Husso in goal for Detroit. And the Lions, 3-point favorites on the road at the Chargers tomorrow. At the Ticket Update desk, I'm Jeff Lesson. For more, 97.1 The Ticket or Odyssey.com.
Good morning. Welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. We're in our 23rd plus year bringing you the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Show. We've got an unbelievable show lined up for you. I'm Harvey Freed. He's Harry Glantz.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome. How about that intro music? We love it. We got a whole big team in here. Listen, the face of real estate has changed. If you're not doing what our guest suggests that you do, you're missing out, right, Becky Ellie?
Becky Ellie, top 1% of all originators. Hey, Becky, good morning. And look at this staff you brought in today.
Oh, my God. This isn't staff. These are legends in the making. Like Harry said, changing the game, changing the face of real estate. You got to get hip. You got to know what you're doing. And I'm so excited for Harvey to announce our people.
All right, we got everybody in here. Robert Courtney, of course, one of the local leading guys in the digital marketing. He's going to be producing and putting on another show, the Creator Con, coming up Wednesday. Good morning, Robert. And you brought in, we're going to introduce everyone, but good morning to you, sir. Rob, you want to hit that mic? We're going to get Robert on that microphone.
I'm sorry.
All right.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hey, Robert, we're going to hear from you a lot this morning. Of course, you're bringing in Brooke Jones, Nicole Pay, and Tyra Nicole. And you guys are awesome. The Iconic Circle, one of the top EXP real estate teams. You guys are a lot of fun to work with.
That's awesome. I just want to give a quick shout out to our other business partner, Will Pay, who's not here with us today, but he's listening in. So, hey, Will.
What up, Will? And happy birthday to my dad. And salute to all of our veterans out there. Happy Veterans Day.
Hey, Harry, we're going to do mortgages and real estate date. No doubt about that. There's some Michigan football stuff going on, and I want to tell everyone, keep it here on 97.1. Pat Caputo's coming in with the latest at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, some serious controversy today going on. And the way they did it just wasn't right. We have to all agree with that. You do it on Veterans Day. You do it, courts are closed, government. So you try to get an injunction, and this is what happens. It's just a mess. That's all it is. It's just unfair. It's a mess. And I'm not a U of M guy, but the way they're going about this, it's a witch hunt, and I think we can all agree with the process. There really wasn't a process. But anyways, let's talk about mortgages and real estate. Hey, rates went down this week, and there's a gap right now for everybody to take advantage of what's going on in the market. All we came on here the last year and a half was talking about rates rising, continually to rise. Are people still going to be buying homes? Well, the answer to the question is, rates are coming down slowly but surely, and people never stopped buying homes. The problem is not the rates. It's the fact that there are no homes on the market, right?
That's what I'm seeing huge, and I don't know, within my area, there's nothing out there for buyers. And I think in the area I'm in, I think 8 homes have sold in the last 6 months. So we're dealing with a lot more buyers looking, and then they're outsourcing. So it's like they're looking out of area because there's no inventory.
Yeah, so I can tell you this. Becky Ellie, one of the top originators, not in the state, not in the tri-state area, not in the metropolitan 10-state area, in the country, has not slowed down. And Becky's going to tell us why hasn't she slowed down? Because she's working with a lot of buyers. Her buyers haven't stopped looking. If you quit, you're going to have to stand in the back of the line because you're never going to get a house if you quit the game, right?
Yeah, for sure. The biggest issue is that, when there's buyers out there, and when they're not around seasoned real estate professionals like yourselves, they get discouraged a little bit easier. And the problem is that when you have these moments in time when the rates drop, you're already behind it because you haven't taken the steps. So, oh, the rates are lower. Now I'm going to start taking the steps. Whereas our buyers that have been in the game that haven't started, haven't stopped, they're already ahead of everybody. And that's why their offers are getting accepted, because when that one house does come in, the one of those 8 houses come on the market, they're already winning. But it's all about the relationships, and it's all about getting people that education piece. And I know, Tyra, you are one of the biggest hustlers I know. You're always working the angle. You're always getting your people out there in front, and you have them in these, you're on social media, and that's what we're going to get into social media for sure. But that has cultivated your business, as well as like both, all of you. But when we're doing these down payment assistance programs, for example, and like where we're going with this is life-changing money. Mm-hmm. This is life-changing moments. And when someone asks me what the rates, what do you think about the rates? I don't think about the rates, because the rates are arbitrary. What you want to do is you want to secure that price point, make sure you have a house and a payment that you can afford, because you can always refinance.
Yeah, I agree. With that down payment assistance program, I've saw so many people where we're actually literally changing lives. It's people who just really thought they would never be able to purchase a home, and they're able to. And I just love being a part of that process. So
unlike 10, 15, 20 years ago, there are more ways to buy a house. There are more people out there giving money to people that want to buy in certain cities. Down payment assistance programs, Becky's going to talk about it. National Faith in Detroit giving $25,000. In other parts, Lincoln Park, Westland, Livonia, almost $15,000. Back in the day, you didn't have people going to give you money to buy a house. It builds stronger communities. Home ownership not only builds wealth, let's forget about that for a second. How about it builds families, it builds structures, it builds school districts. It builds everything that accompanies home ownership. And that's why so many programs are out there pushing, hey, we'll give you some money. Join our community. Let's go.
Hey, the cities don't mind collecting those taxes every day. That's for sure. Also, the data's definitely out
there.
there.
Throw that in. Yeah, there's going to be
recent
taxes.
survey, 45% of all Americans believe that real estate is the road to riches. No doubt about that. We have never met anybody that bought a house and really regretted it. Again, some of those folks were creeping out in 2008 and 9. The housing market crashed a little bit. The folks that hung on to their house, the smartest thing they've ever done. Some other statistics out there. What else creates some wealth in your future? Retirement accounts, but most people only think 16% of that way. Real estate, number one way to create wealth. Buy a house. Give us a call here. We're going to be live all morning long here, 248-539-9797. Becky's going to tell you about all sorts of programs. I know Brooke's going to join us in the air. We're going to talk about some real life situations, some families out there buying housing.
Yeah, I mean, life is life, and you hear of a lot of situations where you have a lot of buyers out there as sellers. We talk about being locked up by the golden handcuffs of equity. You have a lot of inventory that is not on the market because people don't want to sell because they have these great rates, right? Well, life changes and things happen, and there's divorce situations where sometimes you have to sell, you have to buy, and when you are trying to get into real estate, the barrier of entry is nil. If you want to invest on $100,000 of stocks that everyone was like a stock portfolio investor a couple of years ago, you needed $100,000 if you want to buy $100,000 worth of stock. But if you want to invest in real estate, you need $3,000 on a $100,000 investment that is going to pay you back dividends over and over and over again. And the thing is that rent is not getting any cheaper. And the reason why these programs are out there, like we were talking about, is because the world knows that the affordability is the issue. And investors don't care what the interest rate is. They do not care, because they know that their return of investment is going to return over and over again, because real estate is the champ and you can't go against the champ, right? And that's why these programs are around. So that way these first-time home buyers, these repeat buyers, these step-up buyers, people that are going to be occupying the homes, they want them to get pushed in the front of the line so that way they can change their lives, because it's not something that you can take lightly. And I know that I used to rent. I rented for like 2 years, and I was like, what am I doing? So when we have these conversations with people that never thought in a million years that they could actually ever own a home, because they're the first person in their family that's ever bought a home, and you can give them $25,000 and a 6.25% interest rate through a piggyback, as far as doing 2 different first-time homebuyer programs, like that is the best thing you could ever do.
Yeah, so Tyra, let's talk about the investment process about buying a home. So Becky really directly mentioned the fact that if you bought a home, let's just say $100,000 versus putting in the stock market. So let's say 2 years ago you bought a house for $100,000. I'm using round numbers because I can compute that easily. So let's say you bought a house for $100,000, and now it's 2 years later. And let's say the average appreciation rate, and it varies specifically to certain areas, but let's just say it was 10%. Right? So you made 10% the first year, you made 10% the second year. So now in year 2, you're up to 120, right? So you put in 100,000, or we helped put in $100,000 for you. Now that asset that you have is worth $120,000. And that's just on an average of 10%. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So certain areas, when you're putting people in homes, the appreciation rate has gone up significantly. And if somebody's trying to buy a house in that area now, and they didn't buy it then, they lost 20 grand.
Yeah, for sure. And definitely I specialize mostly in Detroit, and just to see how Detroit has just grown over the years and the appreciation values. I mean, it's people who, if you go back to 2008, 2009, like you were talking about, it's literally was houses $10,000, like no work needed, $10,000. Imagine.
So if you go to Marygrove, if you go to by Green Lawn and McNichols, okay, or you go to the University District, you go all over, and you could have bought those homes 2 years ago for what you said. Now you go there. Now you go there. You go there, right? Go to the Fitzgerald District. I mean, you can't find a house for under 130, under 140. So you could have bought that house for 10, 15, 20 grand. Now it's 130, 140.
I never thought, honestly, I never thought the houses would be that much, over the years.
We never did. We
Don't even
did.
get me started on the Boston Edison district.
Oh, God, yeah.
Beautiful.
There are all the great areas of Detroit. Listen, everybody knows Palmer Woods. They know Indian Village. They know Boston Edison. But there are other pockets that are, and the homes are beautiful. You can't build them that way anymore.
All right, we're getting fired up here. We're up against a quick break. When we come back, 248-539-9797. We'll show you how to buy a house, sell a house, and a whole lot more. All righty, we are back. It is the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. We are powered by CMG Home Loans, NMLS 1820-1820, Equal Housing Lender. That's right, 1820. We've been around a long, long time. And if you want to get in touch with us at Capital, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. This is a crazy panel, the iconic circle. Nicole, Tyra, Brooke is over here. Robert Courtney, of course, brings everyone in. We're going to move Robert into the mic in one of these segments here, but give us a call. 248-539-9797. Again, there's a lot going on in sports. Keep it here. We got Red Wings hockey at 1 o'clock. But of course, so much to talk about in mortgages and real estate. It's this 2-month window, ladies. We can definitely go out and buy a house. We're urging anybody out there. Becky, what a great time to purchase a house and get your house in, get your family into a house right before the holidays.
This is when you want to plan your life. I'm even talking about doing like vision boards with my daughters and my wife, and just making sure we have our clear vision for 2024 going into it. So if you are thinking about owning a home, Michigan is not a seasonal state anymore. We have been 365 the last 5 years. You can drive 3 hours and be in a totally different area up north and, have that lakefront property. We have everything, and we're a national lender, so we know what's going on nationally, and you can see the changes. I feel like Michigan's always the last to get hit on things. So as far as it goes from east and west comes in and then comes up, you see the price points changing and all that. But Michigan is one of the most affordable states in our beautiful country. And if you can get a piece of real estate, you need to start with a conversation, because there's so many individuals that I find that they just don't even try. And that's my biggest thing is your first time home buyer they're not keeping enough money in the bank. They are, maybe they'll switch jobs or just doing different things, or their credit situation. But the biggest thing is they don't even try. You need to start with a conversation, because you don't know what you don't know. And I feel like there's a lot of stigma out there where no one wants to fail. No one wants to be denied of anything. But it's not about denying. It's about if it's not if, it's when. And how are we going to set someone up for success and get them there? So if you're thinking about buying in the next 5 years even, have the conversation, because everyone in this room, when you call us live in studio, 248-539-9797, you're going to realize that we are real people. We've done this. We've had bad experience. We've had good experiences, but we're going to know how to get you across that finish line.
248-539-9797. A quick salute out to our veterans out there. Of course, today's being Veterans Day here. I know your son-in-law is in the military.
Yep.
So many military veterans that have served the country. Salute to all of you guys out there. Enjoy your day off. Call Capital Mortgage Funding, as of course we've got special programs in the VA program. We touched on it last week with Sherry, of course, who served in the military, and we're just going to do a little bit today on the VA program. Of course, it allows zero down. Becky, it's a great way to get into a house. Any disabled veterans, of course, they waive the funding fee. Becky, you talked about this, just sort of creating wealth. You said maybe just 3% down and you're in the game. Well, we know 1% can get you in the game. And now you're talking about the Veterans Administration, zero down purchases. We can set up the file so closing costs and escrows are handled by the sellers. You can literally get in for no money out of pocket.
I go hard in the paint for our vets. We're a top VA lender, and there was this moment in time where, almost like VA loans were getting passed up on because you had to be conventional. If you weren't conventional, you weren't king. And that is irrelevant. And if anyone is saying that, they are inexperienced and they don't know, because our veterans, they already paid their down payment with their service to our country. They need to be at the top of the line. They deserve that moment. So if you're a vet and you can even get your property tax waived. And we at our, at Capital Mortgage Funding, if you have that ability, you don't even have to have taxes and insurance included in your payment. And that's things that other lenders don't even know you have the ability to do. So zero down doesn't mean zero out of pocket, but if you have Iconic Circle in your corner, they could get you concessions, and then literally you are showing up to the table with our veteran. Zero.
I think we gotta give you guys a big shout out, because your consistency in delivering this type of information, I watch every week you guys show up twice a week to give people this valuable information, and people who are deciding to not listen to this is just getting a part of the conversation is literally just stopping for 30 minutes and listening to Becky Alley give you the sauce on how to get into this. So I don't know. I just think you guys deserve a big shout out.
Well, Robert,
For
thank you for
sure,
that. And
for
we,
sure.
I appreciate that.
We appreciate that. And we've always talked about it's exposure, okay?
Yeah.
You got to get looks. You got to get people excited. You got to talk to them in the first 5 seconds or they're not going to get it. So what we try to do, and Becky and I and Harvey and everybody at our shop, what we talk about every day is you have to go ahead and have that exposure. So we try to create content, but meaningful content, educational content, and we do our homework. So when Becky's talking, she's done her research, and not only has she done her research, she's had those personal, real-life experiences. So when you're talking from your heart, okay, and you got your head involved, that's a powerful conversation. So when we have all our conversations, it's just about making sure that we do the right thing every single time, and we're not just talking, you know what, I can't say it on here. I can't, we're not just talking trash. Right?
This is
We're
the real deal
we're
here.
talking real.
Hey guys, I want to bring Brooke in and Robert and all this social marketing stuff. It's like when these ladies walked in this morning, I already knew them. And we've only met once before. And again, Robert, it is social media is so strong now, whether it be TikTok or your Facebook. So you guys go out there and really attack it. Let's talk a little bit about that. Some of the little things you guys do. We don't give away all the secrets. Some of the little
No, we'll
things
give it
your
all
group
away.
does.
They can
Oh,
have
give
it all.
away.
They can have it all.
And I'm going to throw it out there. Creator Con at the Garden Theater this Wednesday. Check it out. You can go online and Google it. It'll pop up if you want to check it out. If you're a digital creator, Robert's going to share a ton of secrets. There's going to be a lot of vendors there. But Brooke, let's talk about this a little bit. I'm like, Brooke, it looks like you're selling houses all over the state of Michigan. Let's talk just a little bit about your attack on social media and how you find that it works for you.
Yeah, so as soon as I started real estate, I knew that I was an introvert, right? And there was a need for me to market and tell my people that I was a real estate agent. I'm like, how do I do this? So I started doing social media, started posting on social media. Coincidentally, I then ran into Rob and we talked about how I can strategize and use social media for my real estate business. And it has helped me so much with my business, just putting myself out there in front of my family and friends, reminding them I'm a real estate agent. And even if I'm not the agent for them, I do have multiple people reaching out to me or tons of people reaching out to me asking me questions like, hey, my friend, they're working with an agent and their agent told them this, like, what is your opinion on it? And so it really gives me the opportunity to show my knowledge and speak to people, and also being that introvert that I am.
Well,
a little bit.
Let me just get a shout out to Brooke Jones right here. Brooke Jones is in the house. Okay, and I mean this in the best way, but you are literally one of the best kept secrets in real estate because your knowledge is ridiculous. Your delivery is insane. It's authentic. It's true. And you know this, the lending side. People don't know that you have that knowledge. So when it comes through and when you turn it on, you would know that you're an introvert because you are, when you turn that level on, it is, you light up the room. So don't sell yourself short because you know your stuff, you know what you're talking about. And that's why people, when you're putting out that information, I was like, dang, I'm like, she sounds like a lender. I'm like, oh, wait, she already knows. So you guys put out some good stuff. So make sure that you are following these ladies, Iconic Circle, and individually on socials because you will learn a thing or two about a thing or two because their delivery, their message, and even on your guys' podcast, it's a flipping the script a little bit. You bring in, people like myself. I've been lucky enough to be on your podcast, but you do that human element. Everyone knows us on the professional side. And like I talked about on our podcast, I used to think that I had to separate myself. I had to be professional Becky and then personal Becky. And, my success in my career has, went up tenfold as soon as I married both myselves and I no longer separated the two.
So Rob,
is-
Rob,
yeah.
let me ask you this question.
Yeah,
This is
go ahead.
what I've been told. I mean, people want to see authenticity on social. They don't want you to be all really that polished. They want to see you making mistakes. They want to know the real you because if you just come off like you're some plastic person, everybody can smell that out in about 2 seconds, right? So go ahead and share with everybody that being authentic and showing your heart really matters.
100%. Like, it's funny. I was listening to Ty Lopez, and a lot of people know Ty Lopez as a brilliant digital marketer. And he was talking about one of his idols, one of his mentors, and he was breaking down like the 7 steps to being successful when it comes to person or social media and just in life in general as far as business go. And the number one thing was personal branding is what is making people the wealthiest, right? And I think personal branding is about telling your story, being authentic. And I think the one thing people forget is you don't have to be successful, because everybody gets imposter syndrome, and everybody, like they fall into this place of, I'm not an expert, or I don't know as much as the next person. Forget that. This is about documenting your journey, your experience, and the challenges you face, because that's what makes you relatable to everybody.
I agree with that. I think that that's very, very important. That's why when we do our podcast, we just do one take. That's when we do put out our announcements every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I said, Harvey, this is just one take. And you're used to wanting to be perfect. You don't need to be perfect. You just come on and you just do what you do, and people like that, right?
Yep.
Is that true?
Perfection, I got to say this real quick. Perfection is a cover up for insecurity.
True, right.
That's why I left. When I butchered your last name, I just left it. I was like, fine.
But people don't want that. People don't want fake. It's just BS. It's just a bunch of BS out there. And anybody that knows us here, Capital Mortgage Funding, whether it's Harvey, Becky, Harry, whomever it is at Capital, we just tell it like it is. And we'll say sometimes people don't want to hear it. But if you don't want to hear it, listen, it's just who we are. That's just
Hey, Harry, they don't want to hear it from me. They want to hear it from you. All right, that music
yeah.
says we're up against our second break. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. We've got tons to share with you. 248-539-9797. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. Give us a call, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage bank. You're going to save a ton of money on closing costs. Deal with real professionals and real experience. 1-800-569-7283 right here locally. I'm Harvey Freed, Becky Alley, Harry Glanz. Nicole joins us, right? Wait, everyone. Nicole, Tyra,
Nicole.
Brooke over here. We got them all. Robert Courtney, of course. So much to talk about. Of course, we can dive into, and we will touch again with the marketing piece. But when you're out there trying to buy a house, there are all these different programs out there. That's why that experience piece really matters. We were talking behind the scenes here. Yeah, these VA loans are just as easy as any loans. Our transactions are all closing within 30 days. The Michigan loans sometimes take about 35 to 45 days, Becky. We're getting those done very quickly, too. So if you're thinking about purchasing a house, you definitely want to give us a call. Becky, I want to touch on self-employed borrowers also, just to throw it out there, because even you real estate agents, self-employed people like Robert, these people, yeah, you can get a mortgage. You can get a mortgage. It's easy. You get the same mortgage that's offered to a W-2 employee. You just got to document your income properly, Harry. And that's what it is. It's just breaking down how much income you want to pay taxes on.
So it looks like this, okay? If you enter into a purchase agreement, the first thing that we're going to ask you is, where is the money coming from to buy the house? So let's go reverse. You want to buy a house, it's great. You sign a PA, purchase agreement, and then we're going to ask you, okay, cool. How much are you going to put down? Well, we want to put down 5%. All right, show us where that 5% is coming from. Yes, we're going to ask those tough questions. We need to see where your part of the money is coming from. So get us copies of the bank statements the last 2 months, all pages, and we're going to see where that money comes from. Then, are you employed? Get us some check stubs. Let me see some tax returns. You're good to go. Right, Beck? I mean, it's not that hard, right?
Well, self-employed, the truth is that the IRS tax code it favors the independent contractor. So if you're a Schedule C, or you don't have to show as much income if you choose to, if you're choosing not to, of your CPA, depending on what your write-offs are and things like that. You have that depreciation, you have other tax deductions. But when you're trying to buy a house as a self-employed person, you have to show that money on paper. So that's what you're going to be qualified on. So
yeah, you can't say to the IRS, I'm not making any money. Then come to us and say, we make a lot of money.
Yeah, you
right,
can't do
that.
So it is based on what you're showing on paper, but that all starts with the conversation. We have to see your tax returns. If you're not there, this is the time before you file your 2023 tax returns. We need to see what your average is so we can set you up for success, because there's so many individuals, they come and talk to us right after they file their taxes. They showed a negative income or $5,000 as far as a gross or their total net. And now I can't qualify you with $5,000 divided by 12, because that's really how it goes. So you have to be smart about it. You have to have the conversations, get in line with your CPA, so that way we can set you up. And if you are one of those individuals that maybe just were ill-advised and you did write off a little bit too much, we also have a bank statement loan where we can average your bank statement deposits as a self-employed individual. So you have to have the conversations.
You're so right about that. And I was going to say, we live in a society right now, or a world, that everyone is an entrepreneur, or doing differently than the W-2, but they're not having the conversations on how to do it properly. And it has to start with the education of knowing how to do it, because then once you are ready to make moves, you've got 3 years of not doing things right, that all of a sudden you now either have to fix or wait another year or two to start doing them right. Mm-hmm. So you can be an entrepreneur, you can be self-employed, but you have to have the conversation of how to do it properly.
And then you have to have the plan, right? You have to have the plan. So we talked about it off there. Some of the best conversations we have are off air. People don't want to plan. They don't want to look down the road. They think when they're 35, they're never going to be 65, okay? Yep. They don't talk about investments. They don't talk about 401ks, IRAs, anything like that. But you have to have that plan. And you guys are really good at setting your clients up to try to look a little bit longer term.
It's instant gratification. We live in a society of instant gratification, and no one's looking beyond that. So having that conversation and having them see that what you do now will impact you in 5 years is where it has to begin.
I'm actually a real life example of that, because as an entrepreneur, self-employed, I was very intimidated by the thought of what would be needed in order to purchase my next home. And so I delayed it, because of just being overwhelmed. And the process was really smooth, honestly. If you do a decent job, it don't even got to be a great job. If you do a decent job of keeping track of what you make and have your taxes filed, that starts the game. And then now all you have to do is create the checklist, right? It's like there's 8, 9 things to do, right? And now you got 6 of them done. And now over the next 6 months, you can put yourself in a position because you know what you need.
So what would your recommendation right this second, give those pearls of wisdom right now, Robert, what would your recommendation for people out there that were in that situation, what would you tell them to do?
Yeah, the first thing is you have to do and analyze what your goals are for the type of home that you want to purchase, right? And then I think you have to have a conversation with someone like Becky who knows what it takes, have her create a checklist for you. And then with that checklist, you can go down the line. Am I making enough money to purchase the home? Number two, where am I documenting that income and do I understand where it's coming from? What's in my bank account currently? If there's a down payment required, how much is that going to be? Like, I feel like if you put it into steps, it's going to make that process.
Becky, he's hired.
For you.
He's hired. There it is. He's hired. Right there. There you go. He's hired.
But he went through the process, and that's how it's supposed to be. And oftentimes, as you're mentioning, the lender comes in afterwards. We're like the last conversation. You had got in contact with a real estate agent. You already found the house that you like, and then the lender is coming in and saying, "Hey, this isn't working."
I need to add to that. So in my situation, I did it probably a year and a half prior to me actually purchasing. And what I found out was I had bought a house without a mortgage, right? And I took a loan out on the house that I had. I defaulted on a payment once and paying that loan back. And because of that, it set me back because I didn't understand that if you miss a loan payment or you 30 days out on a loan payment, it will ruin your opportunity to get approved, right? Like it makes that process longer. And so once I found that out, I'm like, okay, I need 12 months to get my credit where it needs to be. And after the 12 months was over, I did it again and the process was so smooth. So
I want to say something about that. If someone, and I actually had a buyer, they were under contract and they're buying and selling and they missed a payment in the process. It was not intentional. Life was happening. They're buying and selling real estate and they missed a payment. Missing the payment doesn't disqualify you from purchasing. We still went through a process, but it was how it affected the credit. So some of that time I had to spend, so we're under contract. I had to fix their credit in the meantime. I had to figure out a way of what they can pay down to get their scores up so we could still get them into the house. And we were able to do that without them like losing both their, like the seller and losing the house that they're buying. So defaulting on a mortgage, if you are missing one payment, that is okay, but you don't want to make a history of it. But you have to make sure your credit is in line. And all that starts with these conversations. And we can fix your credit. We know what we're looking at. We're trained professionals. I'm 19, 20 years in the business. These two, surpass me even on the knowledge. But we spend a lot of time looking at someone's credit, how we're going to set them for assess. Why? Because we care. I don't care if you're buying a house in 5 minutes or 5 years. All I care about is that you're in line with the right people and you are confident and comfortable and you know what you're doing with your decisions.
Yeah. And I must say that about Becky. She is great with that. I've had experiences with clients where they'll say, well, she told me I need to do this and that. I'm doing it. And honestly, like about a week ago, someone said, I'll be ready to purchase in January. So she's great with putting you in the right place, giving you the right tools, telling you what you need to do. If you got a little bit of credit issues, get with Becky.
Judgment free. We're like Planet Fitness up in here. We're judgment free zone. Yeah. Like it's all about the future, setting yourself up and aligning yourself with the right people.
All right,
Back
so
to our conversation.
You missed that one payment on your mortgage. All right, so reach out, get your money together. If you have to reach out to a family member, get your money together. If it's within 30 days, it won't be reported late. And you got to make that call to the lender. You can fix it. Again, one payment might not kill you, but as Becky mentioned, it could kill your credit score. And now all of a sudden we've got some hurdle that we've got to get over. So you might still be able to. So get in touch with us. More importantly, just don't think it's going to go away. If you get in front of that trouble, you can really fix it. And if you've always paid your mortgage on time, the lenders, a lot of times you're calling them, you have a little bit of an issue. The check, you could tell them the stamp must have fell off. It came back to you. They'll probably give you a one-time excuse and let it go and not report it right away. All right, 248-539-9797. We threw out self-employed people buying houses. We got our veterans buying 0 down. We got another one for you. USDA loan, 0 down. We're in the Tri-County area, but if you go to northern Oakland County, if you want to move off to Genesee, if you want to go Lenawee, Livingston, Macomb,
St. Clair.
Northern County, St. Clair, you can keep naming them, Harry. Lenawee, I don't know, whatever else is up
Appreciate
there.
that.
Folks, USDA loan, 0 down. They are set up because you live in a rural area. Becky, credit scores as low as 640. Again, 0 down. This one has a little MIP, mortgage insurance, but it's a great, great loan to get you in and become a homeowner.
Yeah, with USDA, and I'm really proud. I mean, there's literally, we could make your like eyes bleed with the amount of information that we could sling. So we try to keep it simple. But the truth is that USDA, it's 0 down, doesn't mean 0 out of pocket. You have to qualify, and the property has to qualify. You can't just get a USDA loan. That you have to be in an area where you can qualify for that. So it's all about that conversation. USDA is a little bit more strict as far as how you're going to qualify, your overall debt. There's income limits involved, but we're not afraid of that. If it suits your needs, we're going to get you in that home. And Michigan is one of the states, I mean, we literally can do everything here. I mean, and it's one of the few states where you can actually buy lakefront property in under $1 million, which is insane.
248-539-9797.
Call.
We were going to go to a call, but Eric's tied up a little bit. Ladies, let's just, before we go to our next call, if he's going to go to a break, we're going to talk about some selling techniques out there. We want more and more sellers. Eric, you going to go to a break? Okay, so more and more sellers out there. We definitely want to hear from you. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. Again, if you're on hold, stay there. We'll be right back. 248-539-9797. We are back. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. Love to hear from you. We got open lines, 248-539-9797. We're going to go to some calls here. We've got the EXP agent, the Iconic Circle. All the ladies are here. And, of course, Robert Courtney, one of the top branding guys, digital creators out there, with a big show coming up at the Garden Theater in Detroit off of Woodward. Check it out. Go Google Robert Courtney. You can check. Robert, what is your company? What's the official?
My company's called Robert Courtney and Associates.
There it is. It's all about digital marketing. Yeah, you got. I'm gonna have to get my hands on one of those.
Hey, I want a shirt.
Bring it
I
ours.
need a shirt.
We're
large.
gonna bring you everybody ours.
I need
You
a
got a tank
large.
top for me though. I got some pipes over here.
Oh yeah, okay.
All right, let's go to Mike. Mike, you've got a question about some real estate. Good morning and welcome to our show.
Morning, how are you guys?
Morning.
Morning.
Morning. Hold on a second. So the scenario was you guys have offered a bunch of different options for people to buy homes and interest rates are high. My first mortgage, first house I ever bought, I bought it with a wraparound mortgage. You've heard of that before, haven't you?
Yeah, what year was that? How long ago did you do it?
Oh, shoot. That was probably every bit of, I'm old.
Yeah, so
45
okay.
years ago?
Yeah, good. So I'm old too, which is good. so you and I remember that back in the day they were doing that kind of thing. Right now that's really not an option right now. And anytime you want to do something like that runs into a commercial space, that's really not a residential Fannie Mae Freddie Mac loan right now. So basically,
why'd they change it? I mean, that might be a benefit for a user today. I mean, you're assuming someone's lower mortgage rate, and you're selling your house with a premium. You know, all these things could pump the market up and move homes if they had that option.
Well,
if you ask me.
Well, there are more options now than ever before, and I can tell you that back in the day when they did a wraparound, and they had a couple different properties involved, when they went through the foreclosure crisis of 2007, 8, and 9, a lot of people got taken down on those funky exotic mortgage programs. So right now, what the story is that there's other ways people are getting in homes for owner-occupied property. So, you know, it's just a difference of, you know, times have changed, things have evolved, lending has evolved, and lending is really less risky now than it was before. You have to show a little bit more documentation, it has to be a little bit more legitimate, and you know, it's just the evolution. It's the evolution of the lending industry.
Look,
so,
Harry, I don't want to tie in all my properties in on one mortgage.
Right,
so if
right.
I own 4 or 5 properties and I have a lot of equity, take the one that you know is really you're comfortable with. You've got lots of equity. Make sure your loan to value, again, if you're taking money out, cash out, refinance, Becky, on an investment property, 65 LTV. I got to double check, 75 LTV. So leave that equity there, protect yourself.
Yeah, before we move on, I have to say this. Remember, back in the day, there were no documentation loans. That means no income, no asset,
That would
no
be
nothing.
That
That was no nothing. If you had a pulse and you could breathe on an application, you got a mortgage. Well, we try to avoid that now because you really have to qualify. So it's the extent of what you can prove that you make and how you qualify, and it's all legit. I mean, back in the day, it was a little bit of the Wild Wild West, and we didn't do any of those kind of programs anyways. You know, pick your payment loan, come on.
I was a part of the Wild Wild West. Like, I was very young when I got in the business, 2004, and literally there was moments where if your credit score was good enough, you could sign a piece of paper that says, I have blonde hair, blue eyes, and I make $1 million. I'm going to buy this house, and it was wild. And we did not align ourselves with that because anyone with a pulse and a brain and 2 eyes could see that was going to be an issue, and that is what created that issue in 8, 9, 10. And, so when we're in line, and that's why I sought out Capital Mortgage Funding. So I became affiliated with Capital Mortgage Funding in 2010. And it was like I've always been home because they are professionals doing the right thing. And that's what I was seeking for. When you're around things that you want nothing to do with, it makes the path of where you need to walk very clear. And when I came with Capital Mortgage Funding, I was home because they were not aligning themselves with those exotic mortgages, if you will. And right now, it created the good thing about the downfall of the housing market. It created a higher standard of what is required for lending, lending. So people have to get licensed. It weeded out a lot of the bad people that were doing the bad things. And now the people are qualified. These are qualified mortgages. Average consumer has over 40% equity in their homes because we're in an appreciating market. The lending industry and the standard of the quality of loans that are going out there, even though there's more programs and there's more ways to get people in homes, you have to qualify. You can't just sign a piece of paper. There's no wraparounds. We're staying away from all the exotic mortgages. The most exotic we get is bank statement loans, DSCR loans. We can do those kinds of things, but you have to qualify.
What about those fake appraisals?
Oh yeah, how about that? So
I remember
that's
those.
true.
Heard about those.
Yeah, before
Heard
2000, before 2006, before the industry was regulated back for the appraisals. I mean, you had people calling up appraisers saying, "Hey, I need this value," and they would do it. And I know Mike Tomczak's listening. He listens every week, Paramount Appraisal, and it's so straight up right now. It's just so straight. We can't even talk. If you are a loan originator, you're not allowed to call an appraiser because you cannot give undue influence on a value of a property. The value is what the value is. However, you can go ahead and you can appeal and ask for a reconsideration of value, but you have to do it the right way. And to Becky's point, okay, I used to have people coming in my office in the late 90s. Hey, Harry, we got to do these. No, Doc, we got to do this. We got to do that. I said, Harvey, this is a house of cards. It's going to come down. But everybody's doing it. I said, but we're not everybody. You know what? You got to take the high road. You know why you take the high road? Because there's less traffic up there. Yeah. So if you always take the high road, less traffic, you're always going to do the right thing. That's all there is to it.
Nicole, let's talk about some seller share. That's good stuff, Harry. 248-539-9797. If you want to join us. It might have been me walking in the office. I don't know what he's talking
Harvey professionally just told me to shut up.
Not true.
In the nicest way possible.
Right.
Nicole,
Yes.
We need some housing out there, and a lot of the generational wealth and these people that we were relying on to sell their house and go south, it's not happening. They don't want to walk away from 2 or 3% mortgage interest rates on their home. Let's give some confidence out there. I like talking about this. You're thinking about selling your house. Don't delay now. You can sell it contingent upon you finding a house. I love that contingency. It's not the buyer's contingency. It's the seller's contingency. It's saying, hey, I'll sell my house to Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but before I go ahead and finish that, I need 30 or 45 days to go out there and go find the house that's going to work for me. I think that takes the scare out of listing your home. And I also think, Nicole, and I want you to comment on it, it makes you more confident. If you're thinking about selling the house, this is what you want to do.
And I think that's huge because we get into, the holidays and everyone's talking about, I don't want to move during the holidays. I don't want to move during Michigan winter. I don't want to do this because it's so, impacted on what we go through for the next couple of months. But the thing about it is we live in Michigan. You could have winter in October. You could have winter in February.
In April.
In April. It doesn't really matter.
Come on now.
Come on. It snowed on Halloween. So it doesn't really matter. But it's like you said, there are contingencies and things that we can work and advise you on because, look at today's a beautiful day. Today would be a great day for showings. Let's get out there. Let's look at houses. But sellers need to trust in us that we can do this process for them and make it work and, move down the road. And like I said, who knows? We could have snow tomorrow.
Yeah, so. I call it holiday-itis, and I feel like as humans, naturally, we're procrastinators. We're always looking for the reason why we shouldn't do something. We hesitate, and you do yourself a disservice because if you are hesitating when these rates do drop and everyone and their mom is going to get into this market again, and now you're going to find yourself paying $20,000, $30,000 over asking, yeah, you'll get more for your house, okay, but you're also paying more for the house. Like this is that moment, that little sweet pocket. We're done. We're off the summer highs. We're not in the winter lows. We're going to be on a consistent incline. This is the time that you do want to act, but it's those conversations. And don't be a procrastinator. If you want to change your life, whether you're a step up, repeat, step down buyer, whatever it is, this is the time. But it always starts with the conversations, like we say time and time again. It's like blocking and tackling, basic layups, right? You do this stuff, the things that you do that no one sees is what's going to set you up for success when you're in public.
I love that nice little sports analogy you just sort of dropped in there. But not to flip this to a social media conversation, but I think that's what the great real estate agents do. Like I think the great real estate agents put themselves into the mind of the homeowner, the seller, right? And then they put out information that we can use because we're not thinking about that, right? Like we don't know our options. We don't know you can place your home or list it with the contingency, to move 30 days later or 45 days later, right? So I think that education piece, you say it start with a conversation. I feel like that conversation on the flip side needs to be about like, what are the options, right? And so the more you put that out there, it opens their eyes to what is possible.
Well, the problem though is that there's a lot of real estate agents, and I'm not knocking anyone, but you
Knock
think,
'em.
yeah, but
Wow, T.
you know where they,
Wow.
We are the
you're
realest people in real
contingent, you're
estate.
not going to be, your offer's not going to get accepted. They put that negative stigma out there, and that is not true because I have plenty of people under contract that is contingent on them selling the house and finding a house of their choice because people need to move. Life situations are changing, and I know you go hard in the paint for all your people, Tyra, and you know
Yeah.
what's going on, and you get people under contract that are contingent and they do the things.
For sure. You gotta just not be afraid to step out. And even to your point earlier when you said some people don't even know, like it's nothing wrong with finding out. I had a situation where I was selling a property for a seller and it was a renter in there. He never thought he would be able to buy. I'm like, why don't you try? Sent him over to Becky and got pre-approved for like $100,000, and he never even knew. He thought he was just gonna have to stay there and keep renting, but now he can actually look for a house. So you got to step out there and try, and and just see.
But the reality is that some people are being forced. They weren't even thinking of it, like you were saying, but they're getting that my seller is, or their landlord is selling their house because they want to get top dollar. Now they don't have a choice. And because they didn't have those conversations, now people like ourselves, we're working backwards, but we're going to find those solutions. But, we're trying to get people in the homes that they can control because you're paying someone's mortgage no matter what. You're either paying your own or you're paying somebody else's.
Yeah, I just got a text, no joke, right now. One of our clients who's been looking for 6-7 months hasn't stopped. He just got an offer accepted, and we just got the text. So you can't quit. He won. He won. He finally won. You can't quit. You got to stay out there. You got to go ahead and do what you got to do. Just go. Don't quit. If you quit, it's over, right?
The problem is
you
people are
can't quit.
intimidated to start. That's the problem. Is people are so intimidated to start because we live in a cancel culture. So no one wants to be denied. Like you said earlier, no one wants to be denied.
Well, Nicole, let's go to your job. Let's go. Let's just do this. Come on.
So we have to start the process.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I'm going to give a shout out to my boy Bill. He is a longtime client of ours, and he is in Florida right now listening to us, saying he's loving everything about the Michigan Talk. So we are national. We are everywhere right now, and we thank you always for joining in. And thank you so much to Iconic Circle and Robert Courtney. Make sure you guys get to the Creator Con. If you don't have your tickets, they still are on sale. We're going to be a part of the podcast playground, so make sure you come and visit us up in the atrium area. We can't wait to be a part of it. I was actually able to be on stage last year, so to be on the other side of the element, I'm really excited about it.
All right, we're going to make it a wrap. Keep it here. We got sports coming up with Pat Caputo. We will see you next Saturday.